welcome back to Monday Morning Mojo. I'm really glad you're here. And I want to start today with a simple truth. Most of us aren't overwhelmed because we have too much to do. We're overwhelmed because we're doing too many things that don't actually matter. And look, I don't say that with judgment. I say it with a lot of compassion because I've been there. I still visit there sometimes. But here's what I've noticed, especially with high achievers and high capacity leaders and entrepreneurs like we are. We're good at a lot of things, and we're also reliable and capable, and people trust us. And because of that, we find ourselves saying yes a lot. Yes to meetings, yes to projects, yes to favors, yes to things that sound important, but quietly pull us away from what we actually want to build. So we find ourselves very busy, but busy doesn't always mean productive, and busy doesn't always mean that we're aligned with the things that we say we want. And over time, this creates frustration. It can create exhaustion and that feeling of like, why am I always so tired when I feel like I'm doing all the right things? Why do I feel depleted? And it's because we're not asking ourselves a really important question. And this is a question I come back to again and again. It's a question I pose when I'm teaching about time management or coaching someone around how to achieve more. And it really comes down to this, it's understanding that we have to ask ourselves if what we're doing is moving us closer to the life we're trying to build or further away from it. That's it. That's the question. Does this move me closer to the life I'm trying to build or further away from it? Does this move me closer to my goals or is it only causing a distraction? And look, I don't always like the answer, but we have to be brave and courageous enough to ask the question because honestly, this question is never going to lie to you. And the reason is because it's so powerful. It just cuts right through all the stuff, all the fluff, and it cuts through what we believe is urgent. It cuts through our habits and our guilt, and it really forces us to think with more clarity. So, what we're going to talk a little bit about today is something that I find is probably one of the number one questions I get asked all the time. It's probably why a lot of people come to coaching. It's because at the end of the day, we're all trying to do more with the time that we have. And we think that the goal is to manage our time. But I don't know if time is really the issue. Because, I mean, we have to be honest. When you think about it, we all have 24 hours in a day. So, can we really manage time? Or is it really about managing ourselves? Is it really about managing our behavior? Because I think the real issue is knowing where our priorities lie. So, the real issue is finding the clarity around that. Because, look, when you're not clear about what truly matters, then everything feels important. And when everything feels important, your time gets diluted. So the 80-20 principle reminds us that a small percentage of what we do is going to create the most results. So if this is new to you, let me just give you a simple way to understand the 80-20 principle. You may have heard it referred to as the Pareto principle as well. It's the same thing. And so what the 80-20 rule or the 80-20 principle is suggesting is that 80% of our outcomes or results come from 20% of our effort. Now, basically, what that's saying is that there is this predictable imbalance to things in our world. It's the idea that a small percentage of input, that 20%, is responsible for a large percentage of our output, the 80%. And what this really does is just highlight the significance of focusing on our priorities. And it helps us to realize that not everything on our calendars basically created equal. Not everything on our to-do list is urgent or important. And it helps us to focus on where our priorities are. And I think that when you understand and utilize the 80-20 principle and allow that to help you prioritize where to spend your energy, you'll find that you will stop treating all your tasks or sources of problems equally. And you will find that you can focus on the vital few, the 20%, And that is going to move the needle and give you much bigger results than trying to get it all done. So the 80-20 rule is really, I think, the key to success. And if you're looking to achieve more this year, or if you're looking to accomplish some big goals, then allow yourself to really embrace this. And don't be like most of us who can skip this until we figure out that the struggle is real and then we're forced into it. Before the year goes on too far, what if you could really understand and embrace this and understand how that question, right, identifying what your priorities are, identifying your 20%, will help you to really live a bigger life? I think sometimes this question too shows up in big decisions that we make. And that question is this going to bring me closer to the life I want? Is this going to bring me closer to the goals I have or further away from it? And when we are really courageous enough to ask that question, especially around big decisions that we're making, like perhaps taking on a new role or commitment or something that's changing in this season of your life, I think that you'll find that you will really start to examine, maybe scrutinize some things a little bit more. And you realize that you don't have to say yes to everything that comes in front of you. Maybe there's a meeting you've been invited to, but you realize you really don't need to be there. And it's okay to say no. Maybe you realize that taking on a new project looks really good on paper, but it's just going to drain you and create more bottleneck in your calendar and your time and really keep you away from completing the things that are super important to you. You might find that you will fill your calendar with things that are just not fulfilling you, and you're filling your calendar with things that are just taking up your time rather than allowing you to really dive deeper into your purpose and into your perspective and your goals. So let me also clarify something too. When I say moving you closer to your goals, it doesn't mean that it's going to get you there fast. It doesn't mean that it's really a big move. It just means that everything that you're saying yes to will move you a little bit closer to your objective. And so sometimes closer looks like saying no. Sometimes closer looks like leaving earlier, delegating, asking for help. Maybe it's even resting. So sometimes the most productive thing you can do is stop doing the thing that doesn't matter. And look, this is where we're just going to get honest with ourselves, because I think we often say yes, not because something is aligned, but because it fits who we used to be, or it is a way for us to make someone else happy. And that version of you may not be really supporting you. And that version of us that needed validation or wanted to be needed felt safer because being busy felt good. But what we learn is that being intentional is purposeful. And so I think it's important for you to ask yourself, what version of yourself do you want to build from? And this question gently asks you, am I aligned with who I'm becoming? I think that's evolution. I think that's leadership, maybe maturity, self trust. And so I wanted to share this with you because I know so many of us have started this year with a quiet determination. I've had so many conversations with a lot of you out there, and you feel like this is going to be a different year. And I agree with you. And I think that this is our year to get more logistical, and to get also clearer about not only what we want, but how we want to get there. And so, my invitation for you, before you answer your next email or before you say yes to something, and especially before you overthink it, is to just take a quick time out and ask yourself that one honest question. Does this move me closer to the life I'm trying to build or further away from it? Because you might tell yourself you need better discipline. You might tell yourself you need more motivation. You might tell yourself you need leverage. And I'm not saying that any of those things might not be important or true right now, but what if you just needed to get more in alignment with what you say you want? And when your time aligns with your priorities, everything starts to feel lighter. Everything starts to change. I think if we can nail this, we can accomplish amazing things. And I believe that when our focus gets smaller and we understand what our priorities are, that is when we can do more. That's when we can achieve more, and that's when we can have more. So let me know how this lands with you. Let me know how you are going to apply this conversation in your world, in your life. If you could ask yourself that question, maybe multiple times throughout the day, does this move me closer to the life I'm trying to build or further away from it? I wonder what answers you'll find. Will it surprise you? Will it help you to get more in alignment with what it is you say you want? I think so. I want to thank you for taking the time to really invest in yourself and for you to spend some time with me each week. And I think that you found something in this episode that really resonated with you. I can kind of feel your energy. And so, if you did, I'm going to ask you to please share it with someone who needs this reminder. And for you to be able to be honest, with some of your peers and some of your inner circle, because I think we all tend to struggle with a lot of the same things. And through our vulnerability and transparency, we actually can build a better supportive network. So don't be afraid to talk this up and ask some people if they feel like they struggle with this too. So as you share it, I think great conversations can come from it. So right now, I'd love for you to be able to share this episode with someone that you love and admire. I definitely appreciate your 5-star review. I think that is one of the biggest gifts you could give me. And I appreciate all of that. And I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for being here.